Here we are.
By the way, I think on StreamYard, can't we stream to Instagram now? I think.
Yeah, I saw a login for it, but when the first time I saw it, I tried to add it in and it gave me an error, and then I just kind of didn't follow up on it. But I can double check what error
might be
it was
worth
given
it
before.
You know, even just to grow the Instagram, maybe.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Norman?
That's Norman. He's
The
walking
promo
about.
code, nickname promo code.
I don't know what he's doing. I'm hoping he's not gonna give me any trouble.
Give him trouble, Norman. Get his ass. Fuck him.
A lot of rain
Yeah.
this week, Siege.
Yeah, a lot of rain over here. Nice though that it's a little cooler.
Yes.
Feels good to walk outside and not want to die.
The rain was so bad on Monday. I was driving back. I could not see. I was on the turnpike. Couldn't see the lines in the road. Pulled over in Bordentown, New Jersey. Stop at the Holiday Inn. Sold out. All people, same thing. Stopped at Comfort Inn. Sold out. Started panicking. Finally, the third hotel I found. So,
Wow.
yeah. Mm-mm-mm.
All right. August.
Yeah.
A thick August.
They should do a thing where right after free agency is over and you have your roster, in 2 weeks the season starts. So season would start.
Yet. Still missing
One
they want
person.
to keep one roster spot. I was still waiting. Although Kelly didn't sign until September last year, so just keep waiting, Daryl. Hope you're having a good time in France, bud. Hope you're having a blast in France while we wait for who's going to be the fucking 11th roster spot on this team. Are they going to be better than Reggie Jackson? I guess we'll just wait to find out. You have a good time in France. We'll just be here waiting.
Yeah, well, the fucking Daryl's there with his family, just fucking francing it up or whatever. It's like, bro, get back to Philly, sign a player. Want to go? Let's go.
Let's go.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. And brought to you by Bodybio. Get 20% off any Bodybio order at bodybio.com with code Norman. That is code Norman. You better remember it too, because it's not going to be in the description because we can't write it anywhere. We just talk about it. So bodybio.com, code Norman. LL Pavorsky Jewelers, where Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged. Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process at briggsauction.com. Oh, CJ, I didn't warn you. You better have a fucking item. Okay, he's got one.
Got it.
And Kinetic Skate.
Off screen. He's ready to go.
We got the thumbs up. And Kinetic Skateboarding, get 9.1% off your first order with code Dave Silver. Well, Joel Embiid saved one important person today, and that is Andrew Unterberger, who now can tell all of the haters to eat it because Joel Embiid played good in the Olympics. So talk about that, as well as, by the way, we have a Ricky guy in a very important position in the Olympics. We had got some voicemails about the pressure discussion, the return of relationship advice, and man, it's the off season and the Sixers still haven't signed anybody with that roster spot we expect. Got a couple of other pods in the Ricky podcast universe. There's the Draft Council, which is a new podcast, 52-week-a-year NBA draft podcast hosted by Dan the Danny Olinger and Ahmed the Danny Jama. In this week's episode, a mock draft of the 2025 draft. So 1 through 10, they go through 1 through 10 with the mock. Please search the Draft Council in any podcast app you use. Also, this week's episode of the Carl Landry Record Club talks about 2 albums and 1 new single. The new single is from Nas, and one of the albums, which is my selection, is Robin's Body Talk. So search Carl Landry Record Club in your favorite podcast app. And happy birthday to John from your girlfriend, Victoria. John is 25 years old. And I hear this a lot, Mike. She said, we listen to it together. I love the idea of couples listening to the Ricky.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that's got to be like, oh, we're in the car on the way somewhere, that kind of thing. I would like them to be sitting completely still, not doing anything else.
Just sitting like in a living room?
Sitting in a living room like you're listening to the radio in 1926. That's how I think couples were meant to listen to this podcast.
Yeah, I think so too. Mike, and if you're not looking at the chat, can you turn up your mic a little bit? Mike, turn up your mic per CJ. And so happy birthday, John, from Victoria. And in honor of your birthday, please stop this podcast. If you're listening right now in the car, go home, sit in the living room, put it on the speakers, stare at each other as you listen to the pod. And hello to Kinetic Skateboarding. Now, if you are a high school or middle school age person, I hate to say this, but back to school is around the corner. Sorry. But also if you're a parent, back to school is around the corner. You got to get your kid some new clothes, maybe a couple hoodies for the fall, a couple pairs of pants, maybe a couple sneakers, looking good, looking fresh, stuff that they're not going to find anywhere else. Kinetic Skateboarding. They never said they're your back to school source, but I'm saying it. Go to kineticskateboarding.com. Find cool shit you're not going to find anywhere else. And by the way, you can get 9.1% off your first order by using promo code Dave Silver. Without any further ado, Amos and the Chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who is not wasting his time in fucking France. He's here ready for the Sixers to sign a guy. That is one Mike Levin.
I'm grinding tape.
Yep.
I'm grinding JT Thor tape. I'm checking out what Gershon Yabusele is shooting in international leagues.
Yep.
Bruno Caboclo, what age is he? Maybe still 19.
Meanwhile,
I'm checking it out.
Maury's fucking watching ping pong in France.
Ridiculous.
What's this guy doing? He has one good off season, and all of a sudden he's like, guess what I'm going to do? Watch ping pong all off season.
International victory tour.
Yeah.
Daryl Morey.
The fuck, man.
Maybe win a game first before you start sending me gag gifts.
Yeah, what if the Sixers don't win any games this year? How funny is that fucking jersey going to look?
That'd be interesting.
And by the way, before we start, I didn't write it down, so I didn't remember. Our friend Amos Lee, new album Friday. So, if you're listening right now,
beautiful. New
album Friday called Transmissions will be on all the streaming services. I have a hookup, so I got to hear it early. I got to fucking know a guy. It's very good. We love our friend Amos and support a Ricky guy, a true Ricky guy who after every episode sends me a text message about what is wrong with that episode. Yet I have never done that with his fucking record. So maybe we'll do a review pod where I'm like, you know what? Would have had the bass higher in this one.
Wow.
You know what? The hook doesn't really hit like you would expect.
I think he would like that.
Yeah.
I think he would appreciate that.
So go and save Transmissions, whether you use Apple Music or Spotify, and then go to his website, amoslee.com, and you can order some Hoagie Mouth record gear, which is his new label, and you can order vinyl, all that kind of shit. So as I mentioned in the intro, what a big performance from Joel Embiid to save Andrew Unterberger from the online haters, as the Sixers were, or not the Sixers, rather, the United States team was in danger.
The Sixers are America's team.
Yes.
In that they're fucked up all the time.
The United States on the verge of being in a situation in which they might not even medal and lose to Serbia on the backs of one Joel Embiid. The guy's fucking got one functional knee, had to throw everyone on his back and just own Nikola Jokic in the final quarter and lead Team USA to victory. It's actually interesting in that it was Embiid and Steph Curry. Steph Curry had struggled pretty much in the Olympics. It's amazing. People were pretty quiet about that one, but I guess when you win several championships, it's not so much of a big deal. But good on Embiid, looking like Embiid, as the world understands the Embiid experience in that he has to ease into the season.
That's how it is, man. Doesn't matter what the platform is. Doesn't matter the stage. Our guy is going to ease in one toe at a time. He's not jumping right in the pool. That's crazy. He's going to ease into it.
Yes.
No, it was awesome to see him hit shots in crunch time. It was awesome to watch him like set screens for Steph to get him open. That's cool as hell.
We should get him.
Steph and LeBron being as good as they are still, it's just awesome. I mean, it's cool. It's really like it is Avengers type stuff. It like excites the 7-year-old boy inside me. Like all the action. I have like 7-year-old boy voice. Like all the action figures guys are crushing it. And LeBron does this stuff, and then like it just feels like how is this happening? It feels like you're watching superheroes do what they do, and the fact that Joel is one of them is sick. I love the little pump and go into a dunk on the baseline. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not going to let an Embiid dunk go by before I comment on it. He had a couple dunks tonight, or whenever time it is or was.
Got fouled on one of them. Should have been
fell down. You love a fall down.
Yep.
He's having a good time, dude. He's having a good time. He's getting booed. He's fucking taking it on. He's telling everyone to suck it. He got Snoop Dogg and Asia Wilson in that picture to suck it and to enjoy being told to suck it. He's just a singular dude, and it's fun to watch other people root for him that normally don't, but also feel the occasional frustration with the Embiid experience, such as a lack of rebounding from time to time. Wish he would just go up and grab that shit. There's definitely still some of that, and that will, as Daryl said on the pod, be their Achilles heel is rebounding. But you know, he's not the perfect player, but I'd say he's a perfect human, and I love seeing him happy. So I was happy for today.
Did you see after the game him waving at the crowd and then crotch chopping them, as the DX crotch chop has gone international, and he's like, NBA, you cannot find me for this. Ha ha ha. I will do this and it will be free. It won't cost $50,000. Eat my ass, eat my ass, eat my ass. So it's very funny to see as well.
He's just a singular type of guy. And I hope that the playing with those kinds of players, like there was even one play where he caught the ball in the swing and then just immediately went into a dribble handoff with Durant, and you can easily see that working with Paul George, and you can easily see him screening to get either PG or Maxey open more often. Like, I think the beginning of last season had a lot of movement, had a lot of Embiid passing, and it felt like, oh, this is special. This is very non-Doc. This is the Nick Nurse offense that we were hoping for, that I didn't really believe would happen. And then I think over the course of the year, obviously Joel gets hurt, but even before he got hurt, it sort of felt like that was maybe a little bit going away, at least to my memory. It felt like it was sort of reverting back to like, all right, everybody just get in their comfort zones and stuff. But I would love to see them be playing at a very high level. And then and then the playoffs happened, it was just, he's just trying to survive as much as he could out there with the bad knee. So I would love to see like a beginning to end consistent commitment on team wide of like not getting stuck in the mud, moving the ball, Embiid screening, catching on the move. Obviously Maxey's going to run around like crazy, but like it's exciting to watch Embiid play in this and imagine what could be with the two of the best teammates ever had at the same time.
Yeah, it is. And somebody left a voicemail. I don't know if we ever got it, and I think we talked about it last time, but just his experience, as you said, like with other players who can make shots, and thinking about, we didn't play the shoot. I should have grabbed it. There's a clip on Charles Barkley was on Podcast P talking about Embiid, sort of playing embarrassingly in the Olympics up until that point, and his coming into camp out of shape every year, and but also when he did the Olympic thing, because Charles was out of shape all the time early in his career when he would show up. But when he did the Olympic thing and he realized, and he likened that to when he went to Phoenix, and he was like, hey, I don't have to score 30 points anymore, but I do have that energy that I used to score 30 points. Oh, I can use that on other things. So I can become a better rebounder. I can play more defense, all of those sorts of things. And just getting this experience with guys where hopefully some of this translates, hopefully some of this is helpful for him as he comes back. Another really neat Olympic thing. Now, we've mentioned that there is a Ricky guy with a gold medal. Nick Mead, rower, has a gold medal, but even bigger, Mike, the two people chosen to be U.S. flag bearers for the Paris closing ceremony are Katie Ledecky, who obviously, huge,
one of the most decorated Olympians of all time,
and the most decorated Olympian of all time, Nick Mead.
Yeah, when he comes back, we got to get him on. It's enough already.
Mead.
You get to win a medal. You get to do this. You come on the podcast, we'll ask you what rowing is.
Nick Mead. I actually think the Danny told me he did an interview with him, that a post that's going live soon. So we'll have something on the website. Not a pod, but we need Nick Mead on the pod. Absolutely. There's two people that are going to do this, and one is the fucking Ricky guy.
Well, we don't know that Katie Ledecky's not a Ricky guy.
It's an absolutely fair point. We don't know that Katie Ledecky isn't a Ricky guy. By the way, if you are watching on YouTube, subscribe. We're just below, what are we? Just below 14,000 followers, CJ? Right there. We're like 35 away. So if you're watching live on YouTube now, or if you're watching on YouTube later, subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when we're live. Hey, the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Bodybio. Now, the most interesting thing about Bodybio is not that they're a family-owned and operated supplement company in Jersey, not that they have the greatest products and they take great care to make sure that they're all living up to their standards and they won't sell it to you if they don't. It is the fact that their promo code is Norman. It is Norman. The promo code to get 20% off anything at bodybio.com is Norman. You got to use the code Norman. We're not going to write it anywhere. As I've said, it's only going to be here. Also, the second most important thing is that they tell us that we are filming influencer videos for them, but no one has ever seen any of these influencer videos.
No, they don't exist. And I'm going to try another one right now. I haven't taken my butyrate yet today.
Oh, there you go.
I have it.
There you go.
I'm taking it now.
Yeah, butyrate. It's good to keep the tummy, the one gut supplement you need. You could use this clip. Bodybio?
The clip would be so nice if it was used in anything.
I was thinking, what if they're doing it? It feels like a horror movie where you wake up one day and you're tied to the thing and you're like Saw and you're watching your own influencer video and they murder you to it or something.
They're collecting it all and it's going to be everywhere.
They got a new product, Fish Oil Plus. Dude, it's probably been 15, 20 years you've been hearing about the benefits of fish oil, and you're probably buying some cheap thing, or somebody in your family is buying some cheap thing. But since it's all over the place, there's only so many resources. So instead of getting fish from the sea, there's shitty farmed fish and bad farm fish practices that lead to worse quality fish oil, rancid and oxidized stuff that sits on the shelves forever. But Bodybio's Fish Oil Plus is like the total opposite. Wild herring caviar, the main ingredient that they source and then gently extract the nutrients. And of course, Fish Oil Plus, just like every Bodybio product, their rigorous testing, which tests for heavy metals like mercury, oxidation, prolonged heat exposure, all that kind of stuff. Basically, you could buy any fish oil product. There's millions of them, but you want the one that your body is going to absorb the most benefit out of, and that's going to be Fish Oil Plus, which includes SPMs, the most anti-inflammatory part of any omega supplement. So if you're taking fish oil, if anybody in your family is taking fish oil, check the cabinet, whatever, just switch to Fish Oil Plus. The best thing to do, go to bodybio.com, use code Norman, which by the way, is not written anywhere. You're going to get 20% off any order at all. That is bodybio.com and code Norman. So we got a couple of final notes on the on who has the most pressure to make a run thing we were talking about, whereas we agreed that the Sixers are right at the top there. This one came from Tommy. Tommy says to Rights to Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com, just wanted to comment on the piece about the Mets and the Sixers fans being similar. I am a fan of both teams. I grew up in Chester County, but both my parents and extended families are from New York and Mets fans, and it's an extremely similar experience to root for both. Sixers have Sixers at least have managed to keep a generational talent around for 10 years, but both teams find ways to get you back in and then rip your heart out. P.S. Huge fan of episode 1 of the Draft Council. Love that Dan's made video content. Love Dan's video content before, and now him and Ahmed is a nice way to hear about young NBA guys. It is depressing to hear that we're just like Mets fans. Like the experience of cheering for the Sixers is like cheering for the Mets.
Yeah, but we knew that.
Yeah, it's just, it sucks to hear out loud. I guess is what I would say.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And then we got this one.
I think it sucks to live it more than it sucks to identify it.
Well, but if you don't hear it, maybe you don't know it. You know what I mean? Like you can live in denial.
You know, deep down, if you think about it for a second, you know that the experience that you've been having following this team has been an incredible LOL Mets experience. Yes. We are living it. We're there.
We got 2 voicemails. This one came to 833 Lickface.
Since it's the off season and we can keep pointless arguments going, and as a weird Mets Sixers fan who heard the list, that was pretty good, of teams with the most pressure to win a championship, I have to say, I think it's ridiculous that the Mets would be on that list before the Yankees. As a Mets fan, a lifelong one, we don't have expectations. It would be cool to win a World Series in my lifetime, but there's not that much pressure. Would be cool. But for the Yankees, who haven't won since 2009, outside of the 80s, they have won in every decade since the 20s. Since them to not win in the 2010s is crazy for Yankee fans. Like, that's nuts for them. So outside of that stretch between 78 and 96 they didn't win, they've won in every decade since the 20s. So I think there's more pressure on the Yankees. None of this matters at all. Arguing baseball isn't even that fun either. I just feel that way.
So that is Yankee-Met debate. And I think, Mike, if I were to encapsulate what you're trying to say, is there might be more pressure from Yankees fans to the Yankees. But the national sort of pressure, I think people just think about the Yankees as like, well, they've won fucking 27 times. So I think, and I actually think about the Mets. I don't think anybody talks about, I think maybe there's a little more national scrutiny about the Mets. And that's the thing about the Sixers, is that it's not like we are LOLing them. It is that everyone is LOLing everything that we have done. So I think the pressure is actually greater because the Sixers thing is more of a national story than like sort of Yankees failures or Mets failures or whatever. Would you agree?
I just don't think that there has been as prolonged in any sport as prolonged, and really it's just the Cowboys, which is tough to like compare ourselves to just the Mets and the Cowboys, 2 of my most hated teams. And maybe it's because I hate myself. Maybe it's that. But as far as a prolonged amount of regular season, have a shot at a postseason run success with an MVP candidate that has stayed here, and, you know, big time coaches or general managers kind of thing, and Doc and Nick Nurse as big time coaches, and Daryl obviously, and I guess you could say Colangelo, big personalities, big well known whatever. And to not have made anywhere near what could be considered as a postseason run.
Or even beat a good team in the playoffs.
Or even beat a good team. So it's those things. It's like to never have beaten a good team in the playoffs, to never have made any sort of strung a couple series wins together. That just hasn't happened. And I don't think that to be as in the conversation of contenders since 2017... the Sixers have not done that, and that to me is fairly exclusive to them and depressing for us. And the fact that there has been the spotlight on the Sixers and the fans and this community because of the process, because of what Hinkie did, and Embiid branding himself that, and that still being the case, and there still being a like constant scolding moral philosophy debate about it, even though obviously it was the right decision, and it is, you know, now like a very soft version of what every other team that is bad is trying to do. People still broke through the national conversation more than anything, because that was hot button, because Embiid himself is hot button, because Daryl is like a fucking lightning rod, all that stuff combined, plus us. It's just like, if they never beat a good team in the playoffs, if they never get past the second round, it will be, I now do a spiel on this every podcast, but it will be possibly the biggest failure in sports history. The biggest, loudest failure in sports history to never even, because to me, I've never been like you have to win a championship or it doesn't matter. So many things have to go right to win a championship. Health, luck, bounces, whatever. Coming up against like, another historically great team at the same time. It happens. Sometimes the great teams, great players don't win a championship. But they always beat somebody. They always advance some way through the postseason. In some way, they threaten to be interesting as it gets down to the wire, as in close game, whatever. They just haven't done it. The Sixers have been a contender for 6-7 years, and they have not beaten anybody, and they have not advanced past the second round. So that to me would be like the loudest, most obnoxious failure in any sport for as long as it's been, for the characters that have been in this tragic drama that we've been living through.
You would agree we make it worse, though,
yes.
Right? Yeah, okay.
I would not only agree, I would insist on it.
Okay, all right. We make it worse. We make it better when it's good, but since it's not good, we also make it worse. We're like, yeah. And you mentioned the Cowboys, and sad to say, 833 Lickface.
Hey, Spike, Mike, CJ, Daryl. I'm calling as a Sixers and Cowboys fan. I don't know what I did to God to deserve this, but that's who I am. And I want to get some insight into what it's like being a Cowboys fan as opposed to Sixers fan as well. Being a Cowboys fan, this playoffs, when they were playing the Packers, in their first drive, they get it all the way down to the 1 yard line. And it was just this brilliant, beautiful drive. They're at the 1 yard line. The broadcast brings up a stat where it's like, whenever they score on the first drive, they win 97% of the time. It's just like, oh man, yeah, this is the year. And then right after that stat pops up, Dak fumbles the ball and they turn it over. And I immediately started to laugh like the Joker and turned off the game because I was like, oh yeah, it's over. They can't overcome this. They've never overcome this type of adversity. And then with the Sixers, they're still, despite all the evidence to the contrary, I still have faith in them. And I think that's because maybe it's only 5 years of evidence as opposed to 30 years of evidence. And we'll see, who knows, maybe 20 years from now when you guys are still doing the podcast and Spike is getting surgery on his other hip and getting another dick installed in there, maybe we'll all be the Joker at that point. But for right now, there's resigned, like torture as a Cowboys fan, still faith as a Sixers fan. All right, guys.
That somehow makes it worse for us, and it actually equals to what I've observed. I do feel like and there's a lot of Cowboys fans around here, and I worked with a couple up in New York, and there is sort of we know this is going wrong confidence, whereas our know it's going wrong is still very deep, whereas outwardly we get excited. We still feel hope, and I feel like Cowboys fans maybe don't feel the same sort of hope.
I don't know. I just, with the Sixers and the Mets, and obviously a number of other teams, the Bills, like I can bring myself to see like a little bit of like a lovable loser, like up here they go, like they're gonna, Charlie and the football, slip on a banana peel situation. The Cowboys are too like all encompassing of a brand and like in sports media for me to feel anything aside from like good.
Fuck
good.
Yeah.
Them every single time, and I feel like no sympathy for their fans whatsoever.
Yes.
Because they are the bad guys. Like the Cowboys are the bad guys, the Yankees are the bad guys. Alyssa's not here. The Lakers are the bad guys, the Celtics are the bad guys. Like they're just the bad guys. Sometimes they're the bad guys. And also I also feel I can hear that it's like, well, those are also the teams that are, not all of them, but willing to like spend money, and owners that are willing to spend and not be cheap. And that's commendable.
and have
on
won
a lot of levels
100 championships combined.
and have
by
won
the
a
way.
lot of those. So.
Yeah.
But you are, I don't think you get the benefit of the like lovable, like, oh, sorry, it's happening again for you because like you're too big for that. I think.
Well,
Like
also
the Chargers, I would include in the previous conversation.
Browns.
Sure.
I would say you're like, and no offense, man, I appreciate you listening. You sound like a great guy, but you're like, I don't know what I did to God to get a Cowboys and Sixers fan. It's like, hey, fuck nuts. You obviously just decided to be a Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
I don't know. What'd you do? You picked. My gut is that you're not from Dallas and then you decide to become a Sixers fan. My gut is you are from Philly and you decide to become a Cowboys fan.
Because there's something fundamentally wrong with you.
Yeah, it is what it is. Just like, I don't know, eat a dick, man. I mean, like, it's your choice. So
I was friends all through middle school and high school, friends with these two twins, these guys, and one of them was an Eagles fan and one of them was a Cowboys fan, and they're both really nice guys, but like, I just trusted the other one less, and I still do. Seem like great guys, but it's like, Scott, I don't know, man. Something wrong in there that made you that way.
Yep. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by LL Pavorsky Jewelers. Mike, I don't know if you saw on the Ricky Instagram, but we posted, congrats to Jason and Connor, LL Pavorsky number 410, a beautiful proposal on the beach that they sent us the photos of that we posted on the Instagram. Over 400, as we are up to, I think, 411 Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners who have purchased engagement rings from one LL Pavorsky Jewelers. You may be walking on Walnut Street one day, right around 7th, and you look and you see, wow, there's LL Pavorsky Jewelers. And I should tell you that they've been there for 36 years. And the only way you do that is by A, being a front for the mob where they filter cash, or being a great jeweler. And LL is great. He's the first sponsor of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I do not know if he's a front for the mob. I don't think he is. I guess it wouldn't be shocking if he was, but I don't think he is. And it also doesn't matter because he is going to treat you wonderfully. Every Rights to Ricky Sanchez listener that has gone to LL not everyone has sent us a note, but everyone that has sent us a note has sent such wonderful things. And they say that because he's a wonderful guy. So not only is he a wonderful guy, not only are you going to get something great, not only are you going to get a great price on it, but you're going to be supporting a Ricky sponsor too. What did Jason, who sent me the photo, said, I recently met with Lee to purchase an engagement ring and can't emphasize enough how great Lee is at what he does. Lee is extremely prepared, professional, and knowledgeable, and made me feel comfortable throughout the process. I went in knowing the chances that the ring would be ready for this trip was very unlikely. However, Lee did everything in his power to have the stone set, and the ring ready for pickup 2 days later. Thanks to Lee, my now fiance and I were able to experience the engagement of our dreams in the Outer Banks. Beautiful. If you want to buy an engagement ring for Lee or buy anything from Lee, make sure you do an appointment. He doesn't want any of that fucking walk-in shit. He could be busy with somebody else who made an appointment. He wants to give you one-on-one attention. Give him a call, 215-627-2252. Send him an email, lee@llpavorsky.com. Tweet at him, @llpavorsky. All those ways to get it done. A supporter of our charities, Providence Animal Center and Mama T's Community Fridge, LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
Enough crotch chopping. It's time for brooch shopping.
Not bad. Not bad, Mike. Not bad at all. Hey, let's do a little relationship advice.
You guys, Kevin here.
What the fuck is that?
We saw some Embiid beat.
That's the wrong thing. That's not relation advice theme. Here we
Ridiculous.
go.
I keep my heart under my pillow with my teeth and other lies. I've been waiting on your halo just to shine the light.
Oh, there you go. The relationship advice theme.
Just to shine the light.
Eliza Hardy-Jones of The Ricky and also of The War on Drugs.
Seeing them here in a few months.
Oh, going to the War on Drugs show with the National, right? Aren't they touring with the National?
And Lucius, yeah.
I don't know Lucius.
Lucius is good.
The National is a good match for War on
Yeah.
Drugs.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun, a little depressing. Just the way I like it.
I People are going to laugh. Well, you know what? Let's get to the relationship advice. This comes from Alex. Good evening. My name is Alex. He's 31. Long time, first time from Portland, Oregon, originally from the Philadelphia area. My ex, 26, actually wrote in for Valentine's Day about 2 years ago, where she mentioned I was always washing dishes and listening to your show, which is exactly where I was when I heard the shout out. Well, 3.5 years went by and we just broke up last Sunday.
Who gets the podcast?
Yeah, he does, apparently. I'm, of course, partially responsible, but ultimately the decision was hers, and she was unwilling to work through some of the problems with me by her side. All right, buddy, we got it. In any case, she's moved most of her things. I'm being sympathetic. I just don't want to cast blame. I don't know what happened. She's moved. Maybe it's her fault. It very well could be, but I have no idea. You know, she's moved most of her things. I'm sure you're both equal. No, okay. She's moved most of her things out at this point, and I'm realizing it's over. I have, I guess, a few questions. Have you broken up with someone that you lived with? And what did you do with some of the things they left after their second trip? Things like artwork, coffee mugs from trips together, a stray sock or two, a bookcase that she probably forgot she purchased. Do I reach out first? Do I box every single thing up and then reach out? Do I donate things like mugs or simply trash them?
This is where like a friend would be great. Having
Yes.
An
Mutual
intermediary.
And by the way,
friend that can just be like, hey, he's going to be gone at this time. You should go in there and like grab your shit.
or you can give it to
like-
the friend and
or
the
you
friend can give
the
it to
friend
her.
and drop it off. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I did have that one. A girl I was dating when I moved out here, dated for another year or something after that. She then moved like down the street to our friend's place for like a few months, and so like her stuff was still in the bed. It was a very that like strange period, like during, like immediately after the breakup. If it wasn't like bad, I've never had like a bad breakup, and if it wasn't like very volatile, you go like, okay, well we're ending it, but like it might start back. It's like, this is fine. This is like a tenable solution. It feels like you're in kind of like a weird purgatory, and you just have to get through those weird feelings of like, it's not all this. There's a line in the I'm gonna lip show to myself, but there's a line in or a song. Wait, yeah.
Did you say you're going to lipschutz yourself?
Yeah, Jason.
Yeah.
I'm Jason.
What does
Lipschutz.
that mean?
Well,
His
because I'm
name is a
I'm
verb.
about to reference music, Spike.
Oh, I saw Lipschutz last night
Oh, lovely.
at Creed.
What a guy.
Yeah, fucking rocking out. Yeah.
But there's in the Olivia Rodrigo album, the recent one, which I like very much, and
I don't like it as much as the first album. I think it's
I like them. I like them both very much. I think she's great.
Yeah, she's great, but the second album's only okay. But anyway,
Did you listen to the extended edition?
no.
Because there's a couple songs from the extended edition that I
Okay.
like more than the other ones. So just give them a couple shots. And there's
Okay.
Jason popping in. Anyway,
By the way,
there's
Jason doesn't admit the second Olivia Rodrigo album is sort of a miss. But anyway, continue. Go ahead.
Anyway, there's a song called Stranger.
Okay.
Olivia Rodrigo, you're just a stranger I know everything about. It's a weird thing to be. Breakups are weird.
Yes,
so it's
they
a
are
weird
weird.
spot when you go like all these things that we had, all these jokes, all this shit that we bought,
Yeah.
all the stuff I know about you. Like now I have to like pretend like that is gone. So it's tough. It's hard. Have a friend do all that other shit.
So if you don't have a mutual friend, I would say box it up, send her a text message, tell her a couple of times when you won't be home, give her a few options, and she can go pick the stuff up. And by the way, and I'm talking to you, Alex, like me to you right now. She doesn't give a shit about that stuff, or she would have taken it. And this is you trying to hold on to it. Like, I'm just being honest with you because I love you and you're a Ricky listener, and maybe she is too. And I love you too. But the girl. But I'm just saying,
The girl.
the mug. Well, I don't know her name. You know that the mug. I know you're looking at it and you're like, oh my God, we had some, and I'm not laughing. I'm smiling because I've been there. You're looking at the mug. You're like, oh my God, we got this mug when we went to, Rehoboth. She doesn't care anymore.
She might like the mug. Let's
She might
not
like the
rule out
mug.
the fact that she might like
yes,
the mug.
yes. But what I'm saying is you are over focusing on minutia because
course.
you are looking at the memory of your relationship, and she is not.
Incredibly human thing to do.
Yeah. And Jason is saying in the chat that Guts was a top 5 album in 2023. You're wrong. It's nice try, but you're
I
right.
probably listened to like maximum 5 new albums in 2023, so I think by sort of default it is for me. But I did like it very, very much, and I would really recommend that the extended album.
Okay, I'll check out the extended version. But my story is that, and this is one of the most horrible things I've ever done. Well, it's not that horrible. I'm sorry I know she doesn't listen to this podcast, and it was, fucking 20 years ago. But when I worked in Chicago when I was 29. I moved to Chicago, I got a job. But at the time, I was living in a Drescher with a girl I was dating. And I did not tell her that I had applied to the job in Chicago. And I got the job, and I accepted the job without telling her. And look, truthfully, you don't do that unless both of you know. I think we were both fine breaking up, but whatever. So I came home, I told her I got the job, and I half-heartedly asked her if she wanted to move to Chicago. And she was like, no. And I was like, okay. And then I went back to the guy who offered me the job, and I was like, hey, could I have $10,000 more than you offered me? And he's like, why? And I was like, well, I did not tell my girlfriend, and I'm leaving everything, all of the furniture that we bought together, all the mattress, the fucking bed, and I was like, I don't really own anything but my clothes. And he was like, wait a minute, you're telling me you applied to a job halfway across the country and you did not tell your live-in girlfriend? And I said, correct. And he goes, I'll get you the 10,000. And he did. And I moved and I bought a new bed. So that was what I did. Bonus, I have an in-unit washer and dryer, but I'm considering going to the laundromat across the street to wash bedding strictly in an effort to meet people. It's been 7 years since I've actively dated. How do people meet people these days? Should I just download the apps? If so, which ones? I would go to I would go places. I would go to grocery stores, laundromat. To me, look, I'm obviously old and I never had to go through the app phase. Val and I have been together for 15 years now. So it was pre that, but my sense is that they don't seem very healthy, It's
just go join like a co-ed kickball team or something like that. Go play trivia at a bar. Round up some folks.
Yeah.
Meet people that way.
Yeah.
Oh, they just announced it. Sixers Celtics Christmas Day.
There you go.
Well, Christmas is ruined.
Yeah.
Christmas has been ruined.
Here we go again. It's just like it's not a rerun, but it's the same episode.
The other games are Spurs Knicks, Wolves Mavs, then Sixers Celtics right in the middle, Lakers Warriors, Nuggets Suns. This is from Shams.
Lakers Warriors is so funny because they both obviously draw numbers, which is why they do it. But it's such a bad copy of what Lakers Warriors should be, of what it sounds like it should be. By the way, I think going to the laundromat is good too. Go where people are, where strangers are, I think is good. PS have been really digging the afternoon show in podcast form.
No, please only compliment things that I'm on.
Thank you. WIP afternoon show. Okay, go ahead.
I'm on I don't think I've said this. Me and Alyssa are on a co-ed basketball team now. So we are playing together. We are 2-0 in games we've played together. She lost a game without me, and I lost a game without her, which is a bummer. This is a little both of our regular seasons are on off for the next month or so. So we signed up for another thing.
Speaking of which, maybe this should be an off-pod conversation. But
yeah. So
we talked about Ahmed and Dan scouting you.
Yeah.
They've both agreed. Also,
such a waste of money to fly out here to watch me play. We could do like a Ricky game next time I'm in town or something like that.
Well, also CJ is willing to come shoot it.
Wow. That is an incredible waste of money. It's just makes me the main character in the kind of way that I don't like to be the main character.
But you are the main character, at least on the podcast. There's only a couple main characters.
But I just like to do this thing. I don't like to go like, okay, here. Even like when CJ was filming us doing the like bell ringing, I felt like very awkward and uncomfortable by that. He's like following behind us, and I'm like looking at him and trying to like
Wait
make
a
a
minute.
face.
I'm not the main character, says Mike, who campaigns for several years to be one of two guys standing in the middle of the court of a Sixers game.
Well, that was just
ringing a
deserved.
bell.
That was just deserved. That was simply what was owed to us for all of what we did.
What I can tell you is that I know our Ricky audience, and if you're in chat, if you're watching, please give us a Y or an Ed. Would you love content of Dan and Ahmed
no one's
scouting
gonna
Mike?
say no to it. Now I'm gonna have to like be nervous. I easily psych myself out. All right, CJ, what do you want to say?
I just am curious, is there normally any other media members at any games?
No.
I know that might sound silly, but I feel like in the age of social media, there might be some people that you're playing with that like want to put themselves out there, like, "Hey, I'm playing basketball. Look at me." Go.
No,
Yeah, like all the people that go to the gym and set up like a selfie stand.
Yeah,
or
no
whatever.
like tripods in the corner or anything.
Once that happened in a league game, the league that I was in with Ron Artest's kid, a team had a tripod set up for them. And I don't know if they were posting it or anything or just grinding tape of themselves. But no, there's no social media situation happening.
We can make it covert. We can do a clandestine operation for the
I mean, if it's my pickup game, then it's just going to be like a couple of guys listen to the podcast on the pickup game. So that'd be interesting.
The scouting episode of the Draft Council is going to be so good.
Jesus Christ.
And the Danny breaking you down. Oh my God, it would be so good.
It's just going to be like, runs weird. Why does he do that? And I say, it doesn't feel weird when I'm doing it.
Well, but that's video of doing any sort of physical activity.
Yeah.
Never looks like you think it's going to look.
No, it's in my mind. It does. Yeah.
I had a
this is just going to be like a glass shattering moment in a bad way of this.
So when I first started having back problems and I couldn't run anymore, I was like, all right, I'll become a better swimmer because there's no impact, blah, blah, blah. And I can swim, go in the pool, swim, blah, blah, blah. But I couldn't get the breathing down for laps. So I got a swimming coach or whatever. Mm-hmm. And the first thing she did was videotape me swimming. And I have to say, Mike, I looked like I was drowning. I looked like I was a shark was murdering me. And she was like, "Why are you kicking your feet like that?" She's like, "That's not what it's for. The kicking is not supposed to propel you forward. It's just supposed to keep you level." And honestly, seeing myself swimming, I haven't swum since. I don't want to look like that anymore. Yeah. I fired her.
That's what it is going to feel like. Yeah, maybe we do a full. I mean, then I would do like a full I don't know. I don't want to do this, but I guess we should. I guess I'm just the main character in ways that I like and also dislike.
Yep. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Briggs Auction, BriggsAuction.com. We love Briggs Auction. Briggs Auction is a 4-generation family-owned and operated house in Garnet Valley. Delco, shout out. The best thing about Briggs Auction is the amount of stuff. Just fucking lots of stuff. Art, collectibles. There's a sports collectibles auction coming up. Tease that. That's coming up soon. There's art and fucking furniture and clothing. And the CJ item of the week is a big ticket item, Mike.
Yeah, so unfortunately there's no active lot right now on the site, but fortunately there is a house. So I'm gonna buy this house, and I'd like to challenge one of you to outbid me. It doesn't list a low bid right now, so I'm just gonna call it 100 beans. And
no, it's probably more than 100 beans. I mean, it's a 5-bedroom house in Newtown Square. So.
5 bed, 2.5 bath.
Yeah,
it's probably a little more than that. But
yeah, I'm thinking minimum's probably got to be like $500K. That would be my guess, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's a whole ass house, and it looks like it's got a lot of history in it, and it could be yours.
You do the next podcast from outside this house.
Yeah, or in a room of the house, and every pod from there will just be in a new room.
You grab this house from off screen and pull it in.
So, and by the way, housing, bidding on houses like in regular life fucking sucks right now. So I don't know. They have everything at Briggs Auction. As I mentioned, from clothing to furniture to fucking houses, like CJ's item of the week. Go to briggsauction.com, or even better, download the app in the App Store or Google Play. What I recommend, and there's not a live auction right now aside from the house, but what I recommend is check in every week. There's auctions like 9 out of every 10 weeks, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lots, most of them with low minimums, like $1 or $2, like CJ said, not the house, but other ones. And pickup is super easy by appointment during the week, or Saturdays open pickup. And they don't ship, but they do work with shippers, so they can ship it to you if you want. And if you have a house you want to sell at Briggs Auction, or, you know, an inheritance of stuff, or you want to downsize, send an email to info@briggsauction.com, and they're the ones that can sell it for you. That is Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process. The Cooler comment of the pod. Cooler is a new podcast app that we are beta testing. Ricky listeners are. If you'd like to be part of the test, go to cooler.fm, and when you download the app, use code LickFace to download it. It's with iOS right now, but the cool part about it is there are comments on each pod, so builds like community or whatever. It's cool. This one comes from Ben at Mashing Dingers. Mike often speaks of the handsomeness level of the team every year. Right now, the team is quite handsome. Adding Davis Bertans would significantly lower the average level of handsomeness on the team. Not sure if we need that.
Well, what's handsomeness done for us
Nothing.
since?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah. That's
I
it.
don't know.
It's a good point. It's a good point. And this one came from Tom, and this one was actually a comment on the draft council. I barely know anything about the draft, but I know the Cooper Flag tanking sweepstakes is going to be crazy this year. Your thoughts on Cooper Flag, just in general, because I know they talked about him on the draft council this week.
Oh, I mean, he's sick. I haven't
Yeah.
watched a ton of him. I've a handful of games, a bunch of clips. Like, he's just like Blake Griffin with like an incredible amount of handle and jump shot, like, and ability to switch all over the place defensively. He's a real like intense defender. He can protect the rim. He can switch out on the perimeter. He's physical. He fucking dunks. He can shoot. He can pull up. I mean, he can make the passes. Like, he's incredible. He's a really, really, really good prospect. Obviously not, you know, Wembanyama level just because of the size situation. But like, if Wembanyama didn't exist, we would be talking about Cooper Flag as like the best prospect maybe since like AD or LeBron.
Yeah, honestly, having watched YouTube of him already after I saw him playing with the U.S. team, he's fucking awesome. Like, he really is. He seems pretty awesome. So I'm not the scouter or whatever, but I watch YouTube of him. I think he's pretty awesome.
And I think I liked previous Team USAs when they would bring like one
college
non-NBA
kid.
player there,
Yeah.
college kid, Leitner style, whatever. Especially if you're going to have like Jason Tatum rack up DNPs, Halliburton DNPs. Like, you may as well have somebody that's like just happy to be there instead.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind it if it was, whether it was Cooper Flag or somebody else. There's a ton of guys in that draft class that are sick, or you know, somebody that just got drafted or is still in college this year or something like that would have been really cool. But, you know, still having a good time watching the team, enjoying myself.
This voicemail came to 833 Lickface. This voicemail actually made me laugh. The voicemail, he thinks he came up with a great idea, and we gotta tell him. 833 Lickface.
Okay, on the podcast with Daryl, there was a comment made that Paul George would now assume the nickname B-Ball Paul. Guys, I've got to ask you to reconsider. If we owe B-Ball Paul nothing, it's to preserve the nickname with him. I mean, if for no other reason, think of a hypothetical where he comes back to the Sixers. He deserves to continue to have that nickname, not have it passed along to someone else. There's an opportunity here. I can't stand this idea that I've heard through your pod that Paul George calls himself Podcast P. Why not call him Playoff P? I love it for a couple of reasons. One, in the incredibly, ridiculously unlikely chance that the Sixers actually come through this year, it will have been foreshadowing. Non-basketball question. Spike, I'm amazed. Vomit as the worst flavor ever. Mike, when you said medicine, it's Listerine, right? I mean Mucinex. This stuff, it's like they know it works, and they're just daring us to hate it because they know we'll use it because it works, but it's just the worst.
So the bad news is he already called himself Podcast P, and that's the big joke. Playoff P. And that's kind of why he calls himself Podcast P. But the joke is he called himself Playoff P, and then he fucking sucked right after it. And I know it's a great idea, but he already took it, and it's already sort of used against him. So, haha, he already owned himself. B Rabbit style, 8 Mile style. So, sorry to hear. This comes from Patrick.
I don't think anyone's seriously going to call Paul George B-Ball Paul.
No.
He couldn't have less B-Ball Paul energy.
Yes. No. B-Ball Paul is B-Ball Paul.
Absolutely.
And by the way, boy, do I hope that game is on Saturday or Sunday, so Fly the Process can be to Detroit. I would love that. That would be fun to go see B-Ball Paul. This came from Patrick, Rights To Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. Hey, Spike and Mike, everyone on the podcast has referenced PG as the ideal third option. Do we really believe that PG thinks he's the third option? Could this be a problem? Also, what's your favorite non-basketball sports transaction? I mean, he was the third option this year, I think, is fair to say. Now he left, so I don't know. I hope so. I also think we keep saying third option. I really think he and Maxey are a 2A and 2B. Like I don't think there's that much of a difference, and I think that's fair. Like Maxey's great, but he's also 6 feet tall, and having Paul George there as a legit 6'7", 6'8", or whatever, and a great scorer. Like I think teams can focus on Maxey in a way that they will not be able to focus on Embiid on Paul George because of his size. So I don't think he really thinks he's the third option, but I also don't think he's really the third option.
Yeah, and Embiid's going to miss a lot of games, first of all, obviously. Yeah. So he's going to get plenty of time to get like a ton of stuff up. I think the reason he left the Clippers was because of the contract stuff. It didn't seem like the on-court stuff was referenced as one of the reasons why he didn't say like I wanted to get more opportunities or something like that. That wasn't the case. It's just a perfect fit, the three of those guys. And if you told me that like Maxey took the most shots per game out of all of them, I would be surprised because I think Joel's still gonna take the shots, but I guess I would say I would like it if Maxey took the most shots. I wouldn't mind it if there's many games when Paul George took more shots than Embiid. I want Embiid to be like singularly focused on like being the best defensive player in the league and rebounding the ball. He's obviously an incredible offensive player. I would like his points per game to go like way down. I would really love that.
When you say way down, you mean like 25, not like 22. Yeah.
Okay. But he was up to 33 last year.
Yeah, 34. I think he was 34.1. Yeah.
And I'm just like, let's that settle to like 25, 26, whatever. Like keep sitting out fourth quarters when you can. Defer to those guys. Hopefully the Olympic team is giving him a sense that like he can still like step into those ISOs, but I just don't need him like trying to fight through double teams. Just make the pass. There's guys that are going to be able to operate outside of it. We have Maxey and Paul George. I would love for Embiid to just like be less taxed on the offensive end and just be the best version of himself defensively, which we see occasionally. He's still capable of doing it, but I would like it more consistently and to save his energy that way. My favorite non-NBA transaction.
I don't even know what that means. Does he mean singular transaction, or is he like, hey, do you like waiver wire pickups? I think he means singular transaction, right? I mean, it's got to be a baseball trade because like it's not a draft pick, is it? An Eagles draft pick, and there's barely any Eagles trades. It's such a
unique thing to be like, what's a transaction? I mean, like there's Sixers trades that obviously we've talked about as like part of the lore of this team.
Yeah.
But as far as like other ones, it'd be like, I don't know, maybe like signing Ranger Suarez for $10,000 out of Venezuela in like 2013 or something like that. That might be my favorite one.
Good one. By the way, Ranger, between like falling apart on the mound and now hurt, I hope Ranger saves his season, honestly.
He will. I went to Phil's Dodgers game 2 of the series.
Okay.
if you notice, they won game 2 and game 3. So
Are you suggesting? Yeah.
I'm
okay.
suggesting and I'm hinting that I did
Okay.
fix them. And I was sitting behind in the section behind the Phil's dugout, the visitor dugout at Dodger Stadium, and just had such good eye contact with Ranger, who was having a blast. He was up on the top step, just like dancing around. He's in good spirits. I was really happy to see him like that. Cassiano's looking hot from close. Stubbsy, just all personality, total personality hire. It was fun to see him that close. So I'm not worried about Ranger. I'm not worried about him. He's my favorite pitcher ever.
Well, I also think come the playoffs, I think it's probably likely he ends up in the bullpen. That would be my guess.
Maybe for that first. I mean, Chris Sanchez
He's been awesome.
really
He's got
playing
better
great.
stuff than Ranger. I mean, he's stuff wise, he's got better stuff than Ranger.
I still trust Ranger more in moments. But Ranger's also more capable of going like, okay, if Noel's going to give us 4 innings, Ranger can give you like 3 in the middle or something like that, and pitch like 3 days later. Like he's just so versatile and so just fucking great, man. I love Ranger, the best.
Last one, Rights to Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. This came from Joe. Hey, Spike, Mike, and CJ. What's the most popular show that you just couldn't get into? For me and my wife, it was Game of Thrones. Tried twice, and both times we couldn't make it through the second season. Love the pod. Keep up the good work. I have an answer that is going to infuriate most of our audience, and it just, you go first, but I'll end on that.
Well, I'm not going to say any comedies because there are a lot, and I have a lot of opinions about them. But saying them out loud on a podcast would be detrimental to my career.
Ah, yes.
So I'm not going to do that. Dramas that I couldn't get into. What's yours? Let me think of.
Well, so real quick, and this isn't the show, but it's a funny story. My wife and I decided to watch Game of Thrones. We put it on. I was like, what the fuck was that? She was like, what the fuck was that? And then we realized it was the last episode of the first season. And for a show that's already sort of hard to follow, it made it. So I gave up. She secretly watched every episode ever afterwards, but that's that. I've never watched The Sopranos, but that doesn't count because I've never watched it. So mine is, unfortunately, I watched 4 episodes of The Wire and I was like, this show is fucking boring. And I moved on. And you're talking about a guy whose favorite shows are like Mad Men and Rectify. I can do boring, but The Wire I thought was just boring. So I couldn't get into The Wire. Everybody loves The Wire. I couldn't get into it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Wire kicks ass. It's great. As far as shows, a show that if I really gave it more time and really committed to it and didn't look at my phone, I probably would but have tried a couple times over the last 15 years and never quite got into it, is 6 Feet Under. I just it hasn't clicked for me, and maybe I am due for another try, but it hasn't. And everyone says the finale is one of the best finales ever, and I just never quite got there.
Val, my wife.
The answer to the real answer is a lot of comedies that I am not saying.
Oh, can we get a secret list and then once? Oh, okay.
No.
Give us one.
I like to be employed.
The Honeymooners.
Yeah, that's it. Let's say it's that. People always tell me to binge The Honeymooners.
Okay. Well, so we've moved. If you follow the schedule that we send out. Oh, did I send out August schedule? I did, didn't I? I did send out August schedule. I did. I know, CJ. I see you, and now you're checking the website. I fucking sent it out. We were going to do Saturday, but we're going to do Sunday now. That way we can get the U.S.-France game in the pod because there's nothing else going on. So
waiting on that last roster spot.
Yeah, still waiting on it.
Got John Clark at the airport waiting to see who's going to come in for the roster spot.
If Embiid scores 50 against France, will you give us one of those comedies?
Maybe. The stakes are quite high. Gold medal game, USA France in Paris. Embiid spurned France. They've been booing him this whole time. This is it, dude. We got Batum on the other side. Our guy. Here comes the tomb.
Especially when you hate Community.
No, I like Community. Community is great. It's all building to this, and so we're gonna do the podcast. The game is at Saturday afternoon, when we'll be live Sunday morning to
Yes.
talk about what happened and if we feel proud to be Americans or not.
And the answer, or Cameroonians.
Cameroonians.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk to you Sunday. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah. You know Lickface.